On March 24, 2015, a sleek, modern Airbus A320 taxied down the runway at Barcelona El Prat Airport under pristine, deep blue skies. The weather was absolutely flawless, the winds were calm, and for the 144 passengers on board Germanwings Flight 9525, it was supposed to be a completely routine short-haul flight to Düsseldorf, Germany. Among the travelers were businessmen, vacationing families, and a group of 16 high school students filled with laughter as they returned home from an exchange program. The aircraft itself was a masterpiece of European engineering, meticulously maintained to the highest standards and commanded by an elite, highly trained flight crew. But hidden behind this picture-perfect departure was a ticking time bomb not hidden inside a passenger's luggage, and not buried within a faulty engine, but ticking silently inside the complex mind of one of the pilots. Within just 40 minutes, this beautiful, ordinary journey would smoothly transcend into a living nightmare, unfolding into one of the most chilling, terrifying, and deeply shocking mysteries in the entire history of global aviation. The flight began beautifully, and as the aircraft reached its assigned cruising altitude of 38,000 feet over the glittering Mediterranean Sea, it crossed smoothly into French airspace. In the cockpit, the atmosphere was relaxed, professional, and entirely normal. The veteran commander, Captain Patrick Sondenheimer, a father of two with over 6,000 hours of experience, engaged in casual, friendly chatter with his 27-year-old first officer, Andreas Lubitz. Lubitz was a quiet, polite young man who had trained through Lufthansa's elite academy, seemingly achieving his ultimate life's dream. At 10:01 am, with the plane safely on autopilot at its highest altitude, Captain Sondenheimer realized he needed to use the restroom, a routine occurrence on any standard flight. Lubitz responded with complete calm, telling the captain to go ahead anytime. The captain unbuckled his harness, stood up, and stepped out into the cabin. The heavy armor-plated cockpit door swung closed and clicked shut behind him. And with that single metallic click, a terrifying trap was sprung. Less than 60 seconds after the door locked, Andreas Lubitz reached over to the automated flight control panel. He did not disconnect the system, but instead did something incredibly deliberate and sinister. He twisted the altitude selection knob from 38,000 feet all the way down to just 100 feet, the absolute lowest setting possible. Instantly, the aircraft responded, dialing back the engines and gently tilting its nose down into a steady, rapid descent directly toward the rugged, unforgiving peaks of the French Alps. Outside in the cabin, Captain Sondenheimer felt the sudden shift in gravity and noticed the early descent. Walking back to the cockpit, he typed his secure entry code into the digital keypad on the wall. Inside the cockpit, a loud electronic buzzer began to chime, alerting Lubitz that someone wanted to enter. But Lubitz sat motionless, staring blankly ahead as the altitude numbers rapidly rolled backward. Sondenheimer waited, but the door remained sealed. Sensing something was wrong, the captain typed the highly classified emergency override code, which triggers a 30-second countdown to automatically unlock the door if a pilot is unconscious. But the post-9/11 security system allowed a conscious pilot to completely override the code by pulling a toggle switch down to the lock position, disabling the keypad for 5 solid minutes. Hearing the countdown, Lubitz pulled the switch, locking his own captain out permanently. The cockpit voice recorder then captured a scene of pure, unadulterated desperation. Captain Sondenheimer began knocking heavily, shouting for Andreas to open the door. No response came. He began pounding his fists against the reinforced carbon fiber structure, screaming in panic. Inside, the high-sensitivity microphones picked up only one sound: the steady, rhythmic, and hauntingly calm breathing of Andreas Lubitz, whose heart rate never even spiked. Realizing his co-pilot was deliberately crashing the plane, the captain ran to the back of the aircraft, grabbed a heavy emergency crowbar and axe from the rear galley, and rushed back through the aisle. He began hacking at the bulletproof, grenade-proof door with raw, adrenaline-fueled strength. The audio track recorded the violent, metallic crashing of the axe slamming against the indestructible barrier as Sondenheimer screamed with everything he had left to open the damn door for God's sake. But the door held perfectly against him. In the final 2 minutes, the aircraft's automated master warning system came alive, loudly blaring warnings to pull up as the mountain peaks neared. In the very final seconds of the flight, the passengers finally saw the jagged rocks of the Alps filling the windows, and the voice recorder captured a unified, terrifying chorus of screams echoing from the cabin. Yet, inside the cockpit, Lubitz never uttered a single word. At 10:41 am, traveling at a staggering 700 kilometers per hour, Germanwings Flight 9525s slammed directly into a steep mountain face, exploding into a million pieces. Only after the devastating impact did the massive international rescue and recovery operation begin. Because the crash occurred in a deeply remote, heavily rugged area of the French Alps, accessible only by helicopters, it took rescue teams hours to fully reach the scene. What they found was a site of total, absolute destruction. The aircraft had been completely pulverized, with the largest piece of debris being no bigger than a car door. The question of who survived, who was injured, and who died was answered with immediate, tragic certainty. Out of the 150 people on board, there were absolutely 0 survivors. All 144 passengers and 6 crew members were killed instantly upon impact. The violence of the crash left no one injured, only an entire manifest of lost souls. Later, a profound investigation into Lubitz's apartment uncovered that he suffered from severe suicidal depression and had been declared completely unfit to work by doctors, a fact he hid to protect his pilot's license. This tragedy permanently changed global aviation, introducing the strict rule of 2 to ensure a cockpit is never left with only 1 person inside. Germanwings Flight 9525 remains a haunting reminder that in our quest to build flawless machines to protect us from external threats, the greatest danger can sometimes be the hidden battles raging silently inside the human mind. If you found this investigation respectful and insightful, please hit the like button, subscribe to The Crash, and leave your thoughts in the comments below on what historical or modern mystery we should cover next. Thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.